No reverb? No nasty sound effects? All right. Look, well, thanks everybody for coming. My name is Kurt McDonald, and I'm the president of the Ceramic Students Association here at TAFE. I'd like to welcome everyone to the second of two artist talks that we've had, which form part of the Slipstream ceramics exhibition, which, if you haven't seen it, is now on display at the TAFE gallery just next door. Yeah, everyone, please feel free to come on, crowd on up, come up into these front chairs. Don't be shy. Yeah, our panelists are all quite friendly, I assure you.
Thank you, Mario.
I would, at this point, ask you to silence your cell phones, and also, as per agreement with the panelists, please do not record this session with any electronic device. The Ceramic Student Association is making an official recording, and that will be available shortly on our website. Before I introduce the panelists, I'd like to say just a few words about the Ceramic Students Association, which is sponsoring this event in partnership with North Metropolitan TAFE. This group has been formed to promote education in the ceramic arts, and it was founded earlier this year by a group of students here at TAFE Central in order to address the need for improvement in education in the ceramic arts in WA and the rest of Western Australia, and Australia, I should say. Ceramics education in Australia is rebuilding in response to massive new demand from a new generation of ceramic artists. Our mission is to participate and assist in this rebuilding process and to help ensure that the educational resources of the future meet the needs of a new generation of ceramic artists. Our specific purposes include to promote instruction and learning in the field of ceramics, to advocate and support ceramics teaching in the broader community, to represent the interests of students in the field of ceramics and the fine arts, and to represent and assist the professional development of ceramic artists. And to accomplish these aims, we'll be engaging in the following. We'll be lobbying for improved resources and programs in ceramics at TAFE and at other educational institutions. And in this regard, I'm delighted to report, if you haven't heard of it already, that North Metropolitan TAFE has this week announced the establishment of an advanced ceramics skill set, which will be commenced in February 2020, and further details about that will be available in coming weeks. It's very new, and all the logistics are being worked out. The Ceramic Student Association is establishing targeted educational initiatives of its own, such as workshops, discussions, and events such as these public artist talks attached to the exhibition. Watch our website or get on our mailing list to find out more about what we've got planned for next year. We're also building a resource base, which includes written, digital, and human input, which students and educational institutions can access to support education in ceramics. Finally, we're consulting with managers, administrators, and policymakers at all levels on appropriate and productive frameworks and policies to support education in the ceramic arts. So if you'd like to support the Ceramic Student Association by becoming a member, please go to our website, which is Ceramic Students Association, that's all one long word, .com.au. We're looking for members now, or if you'd just like to get on the mailing list for future events, please fill out one of the information slips, which you may already have. Probably have you passed those out? These information slips, you can put your details and email or contact number on them. There are also the voting forms for the People's Choice Award in the exhibition. So you can do two things. You can go in and have a look at the pieces in there and make a vote for which piece or artist you like best. And if you also like information on the Ceramic Students Association, fill out the bottom of that, tear it off, and throw it in the same bay. So then we don't know who you're voting for. Okay? You can also give that to me at the end of the talk, or one of the committee members, and you can talk to any of those committee members about the Ceramic Students Association. So could I ask the committee members of the CSA in the audience now to just raise their hands so they can be identified? There they are. You've got them. You know where they're at. Please approach them. On to the main event, which, and let's be clear, is not just about ceramics, but it's for everyone in the fine arts. Today we have carefully selected 4 panelists from different backgrounds in the arts to discuss the subject of exhibiting, for this panel, which is exhibiting pathways, possibilities, and perspectives, not necessarily in that order. Why do we do this? Well, there's a wide variety of artists. If you go look at the exhibition, you can see it in there now. There's a wide variety of artists with different skills in that exhibition, many different career stages. And if you're watching the work stream into the gallery last week, it was a reminder of the challenges facing the would-be exhibitor. You can almost hear the questions and see it in people's faces. Well, am I ready to exhibit? Is my work good enough? What work should I put in? How should I price my work? How will people react to my work? These are all questions that everyone who puts work in any exhibition is thinking about. And there are inevitably many philosophies which guide the unavoidable answers to those questions. And so our idea was to get a diverse group of arts professionals together at the same table to bring their differing perspectives to bear on this topic. We're hoping this dream team that we've assembled here will be able to give a kind of live version of the internal discussion that you might well have with yourselves in your own minds as you think about these issues. This panel is meant to be a high-level discussion rather than a how-to workshop. And as moderator, I'll try to ensure that the dialogue and your questions later stay focused on philosophies, methodologies, and viewpoints. I'll shortly introduce the speakers and then give them about 3 to 5 minutes each to make a statement, State of the Nation address of their own about how they see these topics. And then as moderator, I'll have a few specific and general questions for all panels or the group, and then shortly after that, I'll turn it over to you, the audience, and you'll get a chance to ask them some questions yourselves. Please think of some good questions, because if you don't, I'll just have to go to my attendance sheet and start picking people out randomly, and we don't want that to have to happen. Right, so the whole session should last about 45 to 50 minutes, but I would invite everyone to linger after that and chat just after we formally close. So now I have great pleasure in introducing our panelists. I'll start with Fleur. Fleur Schell is an internationally renowned artist who is most revered for her ability to capture our imagination through her playful yet highly technical porcelain characters and settings. She's been a professional ceramic artist her entire adult life, and over the past decade has enjoyed international success with authentic, artistic style that explores the relationship between porcelain, mixed media, historical objects, and childhood narrative themes. Fleur brings tales from the world of the practitioner to our topic, and I must say I had the chance several years ago to spend a bit of time with Fleur in her studio, and I know she's had a tremendous influence on many young artists, myself included, so delighted to have her here today to get her perspective. Dr. Rick Spencer, just down on the end there, the far end, yes, thank you, Rick, is an artist and writer, and since 2011 he's been the curator at the Fremantle Arts Centre, and he's also currently the chief curator at the Art Gallery of Western Australia. Rick is uniquely placed to provide an academic and curatorial perspective on our topic today. Thelma John has been curating and managing exhibitions since she graduated from Sydney College of the Arts in 1987. You'll know her from her role at the Gallery Central. She's got lots of experience with large and inclusive exhibitions, but is the role of art and the creativity that art and creativity have to build a better world that drives her passion. Thelma brings a gallery manager's eye to our discussion. Finally, Bila Kotai, we all know well, trained in ceramics with his father Francis Kotai, and later graduated from Curtin University with a degree in 1978. He's a master craftsman and a fellow of the Crafts Council of Western Australia, and was the foundation director of the West Australian School of Art and Design, namely this building that we're kind of now standing in, and has held lecturing positions at several important art education institutions. And Bila brings a mentor's knowing eye to our panel. So please join me now in welcoming our panelists. At this point, I'll turn it over to our panelists to make a 3 to 5 minute statement. Before I do that, I will mention that TAFE, which is co-sponsoring this entire event and has been very generous in all the resources it's provided, is constantly upgrading its facilities. And I was delighted to understand that this facility as well has been upgraded. All of your chairs are wired with electrical wiring. And from the podium, I control the voltage. So if questions become too long and tedious, slowly the voltage will go up. So just letting you know that. Anyway, at this point, I'll turn it over to Fleur, please, to begin our panelist statements. Thanks, Fleur.
Right. That's okay. Absolutely fine. Thank you. Can you hear me? Thanks, Kurt, for inviting me here on this panel. I'm very humbled by the members of the panel. So the title of the discussion, Exhibiting Perspectives, Pathways and Possibilities. Wow. Exhibiting must feel like a giant leap from where you are right now. It's difficult to have perspectives when you're at the beginning of your career. That's usually something that's gained with hindsight. So, pathways, well, today one can almost be overwhelmed with options leading to paralysis through analysis while determining the correct pathway. And regarding possibilities, well, quite honestly, we can work in a field where our field, where we work, is there is no limit to the possibilities as long as you've got enough time. So I thought I'd pull right back from focusing on the end game and share with you 4 really valuable tips I wish someone had sat down and shared with me when I was studying here in the 90s. So tip number 1, make it a priority to get gobsmackingly amazing at your craft, so get shit hot at it. Skill is like magic, it draws people in. It's seductive and collectors generally revere the skill. So acquiring masterful skill, it genuinely takes a long time and requires enormous amounts of patience. So it takes years for your skill to catch up with your ideas. So please don't put pressure on yourself to make a living from your art as an emerging artist. Many early career artists stop practicing because they feel they're failing when their work doesn't sell consistently. You're not selling out if you have another income to support your creative practice, and in fact I think it's imperative. So juggling a day job and an evening or weekend arts practice is actually very normal, although it is really hard work. And what will happen is the ratio of paid work and income from your art will switch as you refine your craft. The second tip is if you're seeking to be innovative in your practice and you're searching for that unique point of difference that sets you apart from everyone else, it's so simple. Make your focus to be about you being your most authentic self. You may hear the voice in your head say, why don't even bother making art, it's all been done before, and it's particularly overwhelming when we're so connected to what everyone else is doing in the world. So you're probably thinking, why am I even going to bother? So why? Because it hasn't been done by you. There's no one quite like you, and you are reason alone to tell your story. So don't go looking for a formula that you think will make you successful in response to what others are making around you. Innovation comes from dictating time, exploring what deeply moves you day to day, and then finding a way to weave those threads of interest into your work. Just go back to your own personal experiences. Tip number 3, don't let your arts practice be dictated by fear. Don't be frightened to follow a pathway, a creative pathway, where outcomes are unknown or that you might fail. Failure in the arts is frequent and inevitable. Fear is an important part of being creative. It's motivating and it's part of our reptilian brain. We can't get rid of it, and it's there to keep us safe. But don't let fear take the steering wheel. Insist fear is only in the passenger seat. And don't get tricked by perfectionism. I won't bother trying this because I don't think it's going to work out. It's not going to be how I want it to be. I hear that a lot. That's just fear dressed up in fancy high heel shoes. Be kind to yourself, because with time, we all acquire a Teflon coating that is fortified with every chip around the experimental cul-de-sac. If everything's an experiment, nothing's a failure, and I vouch for that because my studio is full of experiments that are deliberately there, visible to me when I'm working, for 2 very good reasons. The first one is so that I remember my mistakes because you forget them, and the other is also to indicate to me how far I've come. Because some of my mistakes I made 25 years ago and they're still sitting there on the shelf staring at me. So fail, 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 fail again, but don't give up. And then the fourth one, I think this one's a really important one. It's, whenever an opportunity is suddenly sprung upon you, let's say someone propositioned you to get involved in some left of field creative project where you immediately feel completely out of your depth, which is nearly all the time when you're emerging. The temptation is to say, oh no, sorry, that's not my skill set, oh I don't really have the experience, I'm really sorry, I don't think I can help you out, or oh look, I'm only starting out and I wouldn't even know where to start, I'm really sorry, no, I don't think so. Stop, don't say no. A successful practice in the creative arts is all about momentum. If you say no to things, you're potentially stalling future opportunities, so replace it with, leave it with me. Buying you time to do research. Consider delegating out the stuff you don't know. Speaking to mentors and experts around you who desperately want to help you. You've got a whole network of people here that want to help you be successful. And they might tell you how they will tackle it, and potentially then this project that you were going to say no to is going to open a whole new direction related to your practice. And in this moment right now, while you're sitting here and practicing at art school, I genuinely believe the most important skill that you need to hone, actually, musician Leonard Cohen said, he's the guy that wrote Hallelujah, he said, about ideas, he would be driving along a 6-lane highway, and that's when he gets most of his ideas, and he'd look up at the ceiling of his car and he'd say, what now? I can't write it down now, come back when I'm recording in the studio. Unfortunately, we don't get to choose when and where the ideas come to us, but I do believe it's your role while you're here at art school to get really good at becoming aware of inspiration as it's passing through you. You don't own it and you don't know when it's going to come, but it is there all the time. You are living your ideas right now. And if the ideas stop flowing, do something like bake a cake or go gardening. Einstein called it committed through play. When he was stuck and he couldn't solve a problem, he would go and play his violin and then the idea would flow again for him. So just go and do something else creative. Never stop following your curiosity, because it's a rich roadmap of ideas that will keep your practice interesting. It will provide you with longevity, because it will always stay interesting. And it will push you to research and explore an outside field that you're getting good at, which leads to innovation.
Thank you very much. Excellent.
Hi everyone, my name's Rick. It's great to be back at TAFE.
Yep.
Went through TAFE myself, so it's a fantastic place to come back. That was Claremont School of Art way back. Yeah, just to follow on some of the things Claire was talking about, I guess a little bit about myself. I guess the thing is, when you're talking about exhibiting, there's so many different ways to approach it, but there's also so many different histories and so many different legacies of exhibiting. Mine coming out of TAFE and into university was very much an experimentation with some of the things I want to talk about today. That is philosophical questions about why you're doing things, what's the intent of doing things, and in the end, what's the legacy of doing those things? So I guess what I wanted to come with today was some philosophical questions to go on from the four great statements. So my philosophical questions would be, what's an exhibition? Anyone? We can get into that in the panel discussion later, but it's an interesting question. I mean, today, what is exhibiting? Where do exhibitions exist? There's one in here, but there's plenty of spaces to exhibit. What is the exhibition? There's one in your lounge room, there's one in mine. There's always one in mine. But I think the idea is sometimes we think about exhibitions as stagnant things, as something that exists in space. But is that the case? I don't know. We could probably think about exhibiting in different sort of ephemeral ways or transitional ways or different media ways, different media bases. Particularly today, where does an exhibition exist? Philosophically, where does it exist in time and history? Where does it place your practice? But also physically, where does it exist? So that's the first one. The second one is going on from that. What is exhibiting? What does the verb mean? What does it mean to exhibit? And I think this is more of a, from my point of view, a sort of a media-based or process-based question. What's exhibiting? So I think that comes back to you, your processes, the way you want to work, not just the outcomes of your work, but the intent of your process. So what works best for you in terms of exhibiting? Is it putting objects out in place, or is it maybe more of a documentation of a process? Is it the residue of being in conversation with someone, or keeping a diary? These are all kind of different processes of thinking about the verb exhibiting. Third one I wanted to talk about, not just the concept of an exhibition or the process of exhibiting, but what moves around an exhibition, what moves around a particular point in time. So if you're exhibiting, we might often think of that as a pinpoint in time or an end to a process, but in fact, well, from my experience, exhibiting is part of a very long process. Being born and dying, and exhibiting in between. I think making work or making a process of practice is a long part of that process. And I think if we think about what goes around an exhibit, we can think about pinpointing what the exhibit is as well. They work together. So do I have a public program? Do I have a series of conversations? Do I bring people to my studio? Do I invite people to express things about my work? Do I sell? Do I keep? Where do things exist in my life? How do I want the residue of my process to be not only caught in history but presented? As Flo said, it's about keeping control of your own story. I think that's really important. Exhibiting and building things around the exhibit are very important parts of that. Which brings me on to my last point. What's the legacy of exhibiting? Do I want the exhibition to be something that moves into other people's spaces through sales or through collection or through text or inviting conversation around it? So yeah, I think in all those processes we can see the build up to what might be best for you. Oh, something's getting into my throat. Hold on. Something that could be best for you, but also the legacy. Oh, I'm sorry, I've completely lost my voice. Is it the plane trip?
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
Thanks. It's just about my time anyway, but yeah, I guess it's just that idea of exhibiting is an emotional thing. It's a cyclical thing. It takes a lot out of you. It takes a lot of energy out of you, the process of building up to something like that. I think as a curator I found out that it's quite cyclical. You build up, you fall off. And working with artists, very emotional responses. Keeping that energy in mind, it's great to have an intention towards these things. To kind of clearly understand in your own head what the process of exhibiting is, but why am I exhibiting? What's an exhibition? And what's the legacy of that exhibiting going to be? So yeah, thank you. I'll leave it there.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I suppose that having been working in the arts for untold number of years now, you'd expect that I would know what it was and what it should be and how to do it, but I'm here to tell you I've got no idea. And the reason is that I'm ambivalent for my own work, and I'm also differently ambivalent for the work of the students. I'm ambivalent for my own work because as I progress, it's a bit like when Glenn Gould decided he was no longer going to publicly hold concerts. He was no longer going to go on the concert circuit. He stayed in the studio and did recordings, but he didn't go and have any more concerts. And the reason was that he thought that the concert format was both anachronistic and a force for evil. And I have a kind of similar feeling about that for myself. And the reason is that I guess the difficulty in the relationship between the artist working in a studio by themselves in the middle of the night with nobody around, and except that they have the work and the conversation they're having with themselves about the work, which is quite one thing. Then of course the exhibition itself is quite a different thing, and it's, try always to keep the two things separate. So when I'm making, I'm not thinking about the end product or what's going to happen, but of course I know that it's going to happen. So keep them separate. And for students, I would say that you need to separate what you mean by an exhibition, firstly from the body of work that you would make from an exhibition, which is sacrosanct. It is sacred to you, and it's about your own personal journey through the process of becoming an artist. And of course, that process is a lifelong process. So that is separate from the exhibition, which is when all your beautiful friends and your loyal family come to the exhibition and say how wonderful you are and so on, which is quite a different thing. And when it goes out into that part of the world, of course, it's a relationship between you and your public and you and your collectors, you and your whatever, and that's and it shouldn't influence the other thing. And that's why I'm ambivalent about it. I am ambivalent. Well, I was when I started. I'm still ambivalent. It's still unresolved, and I can't give you advice how to deal with that except to keep them separate. For the students, of course, I want them to succeed. For you guys, when you start making things and you want to climb the ladder of the art world, I want you to succeed. I want you to make the things the best things you possibly can, and get them present in front of the community, present in front of the audience. And there is a way of doing that. I can't tell you when you're going to be ready. I say, sort of soon after you leave here, you're going to be ready. But of course, one of the things that operates as well, and one of the things that's a dilemma for graduates, is that as soon as you leave here, you're only on the first stages of the journey, and that journey will include developmental work and experimental work, and you need to continue to do that. If you get caught up in the business about sales and professionalising your art form, then there's a trap there, and that's why I guess it could be interpreted as a force of evil, because Glenn Gould decided that if he continued to work, continue to perform as a pianist on the concert stage, then whenever he played, he would be pulling back to avoid the possibility of making a mistake, pulling back, avoid the possibility of being humiliated, and that's what he wasn't prepared to compromise about. So there's that dilemma, and that's the one that I would be happy to talk about further. Thank you.
Thank you, Vila.
Hello. So I'm still caught up in the frenzy of last week, which was so full on, that I'm still in a sort of a how to do, and I know that's not necessarily the philosophical level that we might like to talk on, but some of the points that I had noted down thinking to talk to you are really about, they're more practical things, but just say that advice that we've had from those previous three, I think it's great advice and amazing. I really agree and support what they say. So very valuable insights, I think. Now, my job is exhibition manager, but also I do curating when I have the time. And doing a big show like this is inclusive. Everyone was allowed to be in that show. So as a curator, I didn't actually reject anyone, but Vila and I talked about that, and we decided it's very hard in this situation to say, no, that's not good enough. And with lots of experience curating shows that are inclusive, got skills at being able to present things so that they find friends and context within the gallery space, and they look great rather than poorly. So, it is a skill, and it is a different type of exhibition where you do include everything, but normally a curator would be more of an editor. And also, I would say, like an ideas person, so it might come up with an idea. It might come from what we see artists making and that we get excited about, but often it is political, and that's certainly a drive for me.
I was the guy saying turn off the cell phone.
Yeah, turn off your phone. But often we'll draw out threads we see emerging in artists around us, or artists even aren't around us in the world, and then we'll carry that forward till it becomes an exhibition, or we can get it up somehow. So we are editors, we're putting works in dialogue with each other, whether it be a solo artist or whether it be a group of artists. And it's a lot of fun doing that, I'll have to say, but I think being an artist is a real calling. Most people stick with it because they can't imagine themselves doing anything else. So there's a real passion and drive in working with materials, working with ideas. It's not necessarily very logical in this day and age. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was the gallery system and how that's changed. So the old model was that you would build yourself up until you got noticed. And by the way, I'll just regress, which is if you wanted curators to curate you into shows, you have to tell them about your work. So you have to charm them, have your work available in nice images to charm them further, and be ready to articulate your position, really. So, but if you're too shy to make yourself known, you have to pester, I guess, to let us know what your work is, or else we won't be curating you into any shows. We'll curate people that we're aware of. But anyway, the old model was like a commercial gallery might take you up once you reach a certain viability, and then they would make money selling your work, like take a commission. It might have been 30, then it was 40, then it was 50%. And in those days also, that gallery would represent you and you would stick with them, they would look after you, they would keep your work on site. They used to take slides in the old days, and they had slides of your work that they could show their clients. So they built clients, they had your work available, and they'd sell your work during exhibition, outside exhibition. They'd also send your work, pack it, store it, get you into the art fair. They'd take out an ad in a national magazine. They'd serve all your guests wine. They would sit in the gallery the whole time. And then you weren't allowed to go and exhibit with anyone else without a commission going their way. And if you won an art prize, they might want some, not much. If you got a big public art commission, they might want some, again, not much, maybe 10%. But anyway, things changed in the art market, and you might not have been around, but a lot of galleries that operated under that model don't exist anymore. So there was a sort of an age group of gallerists that moved on. They didn't sell their businesses, they retired, and those businesses closed down. And out of that sprung some things like the Artists Collective, or Art Collective it's called. It's up at the Treasury Building and Hay Street and what's the name of that big church? St George's Cathedral, and then there's a bit of green in the middle, and then the Art Collective is there. It's a little glass gallery. There's another great gallery there too, and it's owned by all the artists who used to be with the galleries that don't exist now. So they all put money in, they all put time in. They started in Subi, they ended up in the city, and they hire a person to run that for them, publicity, and other people help out behind the gallery and organise things. And they also go to the art fairs, they go for grants, they publish books about individual artists, and so it's a real driving force and a great model. What it suggests for you guys is along the lines of the Artist Run Initiative, which we call ARIES, which is Paper Mountain, for example. This is where you guys get together, you do the work, you create the studio space to work in with the exhibition space. You get on the committee and you organise your program and plans. You sort out all the openings and all that sort of thing, and the price structures for other artists and for yourself. And that is a great way to go because you need each other. Once you get out of art school, you're pretty well on your own. You've got no studio and you don't have any teachers, mentors. Maybe no one even wants to look at your work. So banding together, even just in studio base, is a fantastic thing. So anyway, that model closed and partly moved on. People could buy online very easily from all over the world, so there's a lot more choice, and the older generation have already got heaps of art, so they're sort of built full. Their houses are full. The younger generation, they're not coming to galleries and buying from art galleries so much. Maybe they don't have the money, but if they do, they'll look online, they'll follow artists, they'll get things elsewhere. They come by freight. And if you want to go to a gallery, you can also go online. You don't need to come here. You can go to the Museum of Metropolitan Art for the whole afternoon from home. So, sales are down, attendances are down. You need to be thinking very carefully about how you might want to show your work, whether it's object-based art or not based on objects. But obviously pop-ups, artist-run spaces, and these type of organisations like the Art Collective like art stores. And then you've got a couple of galleries that are run by artists, like the NAS store space. It's in Melville, just off Canning Highway, near the Melville Recreation Centre. I don't think it'll be there much more than another year. But these types of initiatives that people work out together and help each other with. There's plenty more to say. It's a little bit hard to be focused. Maybe I should just stop, but I just will say that I was at a talk by Helen written, and this is her book that I grabbed today. So that's an exhibition, by the way. Have a look. It is of and it comes from an exhibition, but the book itself is as good as any exhibition in a sense. I mean, you don't get the materiality of the object. David Bylander and Helen were talking. Their shows at Turner Gallery about how much experimentation goes on before a work is released, and there's a lot of years of work being made before they let it out. A lot of things don't get out, and they're just like trying to find which materials to work with and how to resolve these ideas that they're starting with. So it's a journey, and all the works that come from it don't need to be exhibited or sold, because they're just part of a journey to maybe the perfect work.
Thank you, Velma.
Okay.
Thank you for those comments. A cornucopia of ideas there for us to dwell on as we get into a few questions for the panel. I think what I might do, if that's okay, is I'll take the microphone down and put it to you guys so that you can kind of pass it around as you answer the questions.
May not even need it.
Should we just dispense with it? Yeah? Well, maybe just turn it off and see how we're going, shall we?
If you can't hear, come forward, and if you want us to, we'll turn the mic on. Can you hear?
Excellent. Can everyone hear okay? Yeah? Yeah, very good. All right, excellent. Look, there's lots and lots of questions we could ask. I won't spend too long myself asking questions, but just to get us going here, I'll just ask a question to the panel at large. If you think about an emerging artist and as they're thinking about their own career development, how far forward should they be thinking when thinking about when to exhibit? Is it best to just jump at everything that comes along, every opportunity? Everyone says, hey, we're going to get together, put a few things into space, or should they really be a little bit more selective about what opportunities they participate in based on their long-run career objectives or where they think their own personal portfolio of artwork is going? And I would just invite any of the panelists to actually comment on that or change the question around if you think that's the wrong question.
You've got to start somewhere, don't you? So if you have never had an exhibition, you're hardly going to wait until the perfect exhibition comes along. You really have to go in there and make a mess, I reckon. But I would say that, a lot of people, as things go along, end up just entering every royal show and going to the art award. And some of it's a waste of time, some of it's not a very good context to be in. And others, like the Royal Show Art Award is actually pretty good. But
you have to learn, kind of find that out through both experience and other artists who have attempted to participate in this. Many of the artists who win the big awards have been doing it for 4 or 5 years and either rejected or not won the prize.
I think it's probably the suitability of your work against, particular opportunity. What do you think?
Anybody else?
Well, a secondary consideration is what kind of measure you're actually using. Because as you know by now, there's no yardstick, there's no measurement that I can give you and say, you're 5 foot long and now you can go and exhibit, because it doesn't work like that. At a personal level or at a sort of a public level. So my advice is, you start with joint shows, group shows, and then gradually you sort of expand your representation until you're in a solo show and you're doing it by yourself.
By which time you might have a following as well, which is really important. Because otherwise you'll be sitting there all by yourself in the gallery and no one will turn up.
How do you develop that press backing early on? Like, obviously, if you're getting small shows and you're going to get a piece in, say, how would you then approach press and say, look, I'm being shown here, I'd like you to talk about me rather than the exhibition as a whole?
Can I just ask a question? How many people have exhibited here?
And which of those, apart from the show we've got here, does it have another show of hands?
You're already on the way.
You're on the road.
I don't know. I mean, to answer that question, generally we put out press releases for each show, and if it's a curated group show, that would come from the curator. But within that, of course, you've got your own media, your own social media, so you can hook into that.
Would you be stepping on toes if you sent out an additional press release?
Additional.
Yeah, like say if whoever curated it sent out for the group show, then you did a blast on top and said, I am being shown at.
I think the general way to do it would be to be considerate to your fellow artists. You can certainly use your own handle, your own media, but if these media releases are coming through an institution, you should be respectful of that as well, I think. But certainly get as many people there as you can. I mean, that's the deal.
I would assume social media would be...
Sorry?
Social media would be a way to deal with some of the pushy aspect of, here's a group, but you really should be focusing on me. If you can, I would assume, say, Instagram or whatever the new thing is another way to begin to collect a following.
Let me just, I want to just pursue this point a little bit further, actually, with Flora in particular, because I know she and I have had many conversations over the years as I was tracking my own development as an artist about one's voice, one's own personal style, that thing that we're all searching for. If you, in the context of what we were just talking about, do you think one should wait until one finds one's voice or unique style or artistic expression before exhibiting, or just plow in there and just go with it?
It's never been easier to connect with an audience. It's never been cheaper. Because you've got these social networks, and some of them are really smart ones. You've just got to be really selective. So design files, all these people that they are what we call influencers. And what they do is they pick and choose. And if your work is, if you've got an Instagram account, I wouldn't actually put a lot of energies into sedentary gallery methods, because what tends to happen is that the only people who show up, because no one really knows you yet, are your family, and you invest so much time and energy. It's an experience you do need to gain, so it's really tricky for me to say don't do it, but I would be really calculative in the way that I did it, because it requires an enormous amount of effort. You're going to be leaning on people. It takes you out of the studio from where you're working and making beautiful work, great work, interesting work. So I would argue that I would be really selective about what I choose to photograph, because you don't want to be reminded 20 years down the track of that really dog-eared piece that took, it was awkward and you were really naive and you had so much to learn. Be really selective about what you put out there, but I think that right now is probably the most cheapest, easiest, effective way to access your audience. And then if you do make really interesting work, I know there's so much work out there, and the challenge is how do you separate yourself, how do you distinguish yourself from that saturation of imagery. But if you do make something that, often what happens is someone will pick it up, and then before you know it, someone's written about you or something, and you're starting this flow, and then before you know it, someone emails us, hey, I saw your article or your image here. It's really hard to police it. It's really hard to copyright it or have any control over it. But actually, once it's out there, it can really expedite your emerging career, I think. So that would be my suggestion. Rather than investing so much time in a gallery where people have to proactively come and see your work, because it's really hard to move people from their homes or from their social. From going out for dinner. What would I rather do? Go to dinner with a whole bunch of friends who I don't see anymore, or would I like to go to a gallery? Hey, how can I combine both? And it just is hard for people these days. So instead, it's just, how do you access people? You do it through social media. You make yourself, you don't even need a website. You can just do a blog, or you can do Instagram, and just start being selective, being really careful about how you photograph your work. Maybe your work, your relevance is actually through photographing it with the way that you live, like in your home, maybe. I know when I worked in Finland, most people exhibit in their homes. I think culturally it's really different wherever you live in the world and how people share their work with their community. So in Finland, when I was working in a artist village called Fiskars, people would open their homes at certain times of the year, and people would travel from all around Europe and they would come to people's homes, and it was such a strong selling point. Canada's the same. In Canada, you would rock up to someone's house in the evening and they would open their house up, and because the work is made in context to the environment that they live in, it became such a strong selling point, and you'd seduced by it, you want to take it home. So yeah, and that completed the story of the work, I think. So it's true.
Any other questions from the audience?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, leading on from what you're saying, look, actually looking at that human connection,
Yeah.
people then form with an artist and the process of what they make. And that is one thing that's therefore really missing in social media, because we're just presenting an aspect or a side of ourselves. And so how, as an artist, you don't know in two ways, but most artists that I know really need someone else to speak about their work. They can do that intimately with people or their process, but often it comes from the influences, or either being your agent or your gallery rep.
And often my work is misinterpreted. Like I'll read something that someone's written about my work and they haven't. That's not what I was trying to say at all, right? But that you put it out there, and you know how it's interpreted is up to the individual, and I have to wear that. Sometimes it's informative, and I go, oh wow, I really love that take as a customer.
So do you still feel that there's a role though, and this is actually a question for the channel, do you still feel that there's a role with having reviews of the work or gallery reps, curating their work, interviewing the work, or is it all just going to go to
It's got to be a combined thing. Like, we are also in a transition, and we're talking about objects. There will always be people who do want to actually see the objects, and say they might buy them, but they want to see them first. So there's something about the handmade that remains in this story. So I think you probably want to pick and choose all the different things that could help you. And but I think it's quite useful to just say, because you might not know where to start, or there might be too many things, but just say, I've got 5 strategic moves I'm going to make. And it might be because you're having an exhibition, or because you've got some work you want to invite people to come and see, or you want to place it. But just trying to think on the small scale of 5 strategic things. And one of them might be, who are the curators who I want to target? How can I find them? Like, first of all, do I even know their names or contacts? Do I know how to write to them? So you might be thinking about curators. You might then say, number 2 is my social media strategy. So I'm going to have an Instagram account, or I'm going to have a blog, or I'm going to do a Facebook event. And perhaps this turns out that you've already got your 5 moves that you're going to make, or else you can block them, as I was doing 1 too. But there is no work. Sending a press release out, it's like sending it out into nowhere, because we don't have a newspaper in Perth that publishes much about art anymore. Rick used to write reviews every Saturday for the West Australian. He used to have an arts editor and an every week review, and sometimes he had 3 exhibitions that he would review. People did read it, but our newspaper model is about gossip, scandal, sex. And actually the newspaper themselves will tell you, unless you have blood or sex involved in your exhibition, there's no story there. So that's the West. The Sunday Times, I think it's probably the same. The only way you get in is if you know someone who might take an interest, or like, they love writing about Leon Pericles and people like that. Or
Can You Don't got a great story, you know, and we had a fantastic show at the time, and Ken Don't from outside Perth, already well known, like, obviously some people still love his work, and he's got a big show in Perth, and he gets the colour story of the newspaper, pages of it, you know, so it's obviously about the old, you know, boys club and so on. But the thing is, we don't rely on them anymore. We need to make our own publications, and we can do that online. And Seesaw does it. Does anyone read that? Perth. It's getting a bit of funding. It writes about art and other things, cultural events. So it's just a website, and that's the type of thing. If you know about that, you stand a chance of one day them taking an interest in you. So you've got to support them and develop your own avenues like that. And one of the things about, we used to spend money on advertising, we never had enough, but we really don't need to anymore. It's not worth it. I always say, most will stand at the front with a $10 note and say, does anyone want to come to an exhibition? And for every person who takes a $10 note, I'd be probably spending less than I would if I put an ad in the paper. Local papers may be a bit different. They'll take an interest in you because you live in the Wanneroo area and you're working with a local grass and the school kids and, you know, like there's an angle there. So you may find an angle that you can use and get into some sort of print publication, but basically it is a thing. You need to use Facebook.
I think you need to also treat writing a little bit like the value that you put on your skill when you're learning how to throw. Writing is critical, and I would have to say the 10 most famous ceramic artists in the world at the moment, I know about them because of the books they've written, not necessarily because of the work they make. And so, like Evan Noir, I mean, he makes the most beautiful work, but I love the way he writes even more, and it informs his work. So I would say if you don't feel comfortable, invest time or delegate. Pip Drysdale, she will give someone a pot and say, can you write for me, if she doesn't feel comfortable that she's too close to the work and she can't write about it. She wants someone informed to see maybe a different take on her work, and she will offer it. Here, have a pot, write about my work. I need it for the preface for a catalogue that I'm doing, or, you know, treat it, or photography, treat it like that. It's a really important skill that shouldn't be underrated or undervalued in your practice, because it's one way of really reaching your audience and being a major influence if you can write about your work, write about other people's work. I write about other people's work as well, and it's a skill I've found really awkward doing, but it's really informed how I write about my own work and how I see my own work and how I think people see my work as well.
Do have a look at Flir's website, also Pip and Drysdale's website, and on there are all the things that have been written about their work, or maybe not all of them, but like there's publicity, there's pretty good writing. It's there for, you know, as an archive. And this is what you need to collect if you do get a mention somewhere, or you do get some good photos done, or get some writing done, or have a client. You need to retain information so that you can use it the next step along the way. And the other thing is you don't, we used to print a lot of catalogues as well, and we don't have time or the money here to do that, or the staff, but we often just do them and they're ready at the last minute. We put them online, and that seems to have been a great way of still having writing for the purpose of artists can use it in the future if they want to. The public can read it, but we're still publishing. We're just not doing it in this material sense.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've had a very full session. Thank you. We will stop now and let you go. But if people would like to stay and keep talking, we would very much invite them to do that. We can do that too. But in any case, let's say a big thank you to our speakers, please. And those who need to head out.